Welcome back to the Two Thrones. Anyway,
Arabian. Oh wait, never mind. It's
actually it's a day. Alright, let's go.
Although to be fair, Arabian days are mentioned in the lyrics. But anyway, let's get to work.
Yeah, remember we still need to get to the palace and everything. Yeah, anyway, moving on. Actually, we're pretty close to another cutscene, I think, yeah. As soon as we jumped onto the next palace, because again, the prince decided that the prince and the dark prince agreed that taking the route is the best option, essentially. Oh, there we go.
So, oh, hello.
But oh,
Farah. Am I right? Let's see. Oh. Maybe it was Ezio.
Ezio uses a gun.
Someone helping us.
Who is there? You have done me a great service. Show yourself.
You may want to take another take at that.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So very strange. I wonder.
Now also, the visual model is better, but the eyes are a bit weird.
Was it better in the PST version? Since you know.
I think so.
I
Again,
don't
it seems
get
to be a problem. It seems to be a problem with HD compilation in general.
Well, I mean, that was also an issue with a lot of PS3 or Xbox 360 remasters or remakes of old PS2 or Xbox classics.
Well,
I mean, you know, they're supposed to look better, yet they ended up looking not.
I don't know, Joe. Well, Bluepoint aside, for obvious reasons, the only ones that I can generally think they were worse compared to the original were, well, these ones, obviously, the Silent Hill ones, and the Zone of the Enders ones at launch. Everything else seemed to be fine as far as I remember. Like, I'm trying to recollect.
Not that many other. Well,
actually,
that's the thing, there weren't that many remasters for
example, Beyond Good and Evil, well, HD was fine. Yes.
Wow, Ubisoft actually remembered Beyond Good and Evil existed back in the day.
Yeah.
You know, have we heard anything more about Beyond Good and Evil 2 anyway?
No.
Since
Well, we should also had some live streams here and there. So.
Oh, really? Then what have we seen?
Essentially showcased some how the game is gonna be structured or something, some models.
Why do I get the feeling that after Beyond Good and Evil 2, Ansel's is going to pretty much be done with Ubisoft and is going to do his own stuff?
Probably, unless he decides
Honestly, at this point it would be better. I mean, look, the guy was in literal tears for a reason.
Let us be on.
And as much as Ubisoft are improving, for the most part...
I wouldn't say that they're as bad as Konami, but they're in EA territory with how, you know, they mishandle a lot of their IPs and don't, you know, give IPs more deserving.
Anyway, let me give you some rundown. Sorry. No, I was even to Jova, for example. As I mentioned, Beyond Good and Evil HD, done by Ubisoft Montpellier. But the HBD version was made by Ubisoft Shanghai. And it was decent enough. Then there's Castlevania Lords of Shadow Mirror of Fate. The HD version was done by the same developers, Mercury's team, and I can confirm it's decent. Not great looking, because it was made originally for the 3DS, so even HD remaster doesn't do much to it. For example, Dead Space Extraction, which was for the Wii and then made for the PS3 by both Vizer Games and Eurocom, you know, the guys who made Crash Bash. Let me see. The Doom 3 BFG edition, I think.
Oh.
Yes.
I wonder if he was listening for something, since that's the same animation he used when listening to the Vizier earlier.
Yeah.
No. But yeah, pretty much that's kind of the gist of it, Jova. Let me check if something else. Oh, maybe.
See, the deal is, like, when it comes to the 7th gen, remasters were quite hit and miss. I mean, I go, nowadays...
Let me check, for example, who did the Nights into Dreams HD version?
That's kind of interesting, too. It was actually made by an internal team at Sega, and the lead person in charge of it was actually the head of nightsintodreams.com, which is a fan site, fan site nights. So she managed to actually work at Sega. and she was
her
the one
name
in charge of the
Trippy?
HD remaster. So go
Is
ahead,
that
Jova.
Trippy by any chance you're referring to?
Yes, I think it's Trippy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Idle Minds were the
That
guys
remaster
who
was
made. Oh,
good
sorry.
visual-wise. The problem is that it was missing content from the PS2 version.
Idle
It
Minds,
was.
which are now
I mean, the only
known
real
as
problem I
the
remember it having was the lack of 360 analog control, but they fixed it with a patch.
It was missing the two-player content as well as the Sonic,
That
and
was
the
only
Dream
in.
stuff.
Thing is that was only in Japan.
Well, that's the thing, though.
No,
You
no,
think
but
they'd have
that's the
brought
thing,
it over
Joe.
since essentially-
Sorry, Dwebs. The HD remaster is a remaster of the PS2 version.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I meant. The PS2 version was only in Japan.
Yeah,
But
Yeah.
that's the thing. The PC version is a remaster of that version.
yeah.
But then again, you know, when they remake games, they seem to be really random with stuff. Like in the Crash Insane trilogy, they based the Papu Papu boss off the Japanese version where he has like 5 hit points instead of the usual 3.
That's to give it a bit more
Well,
challenge.
to be fair, yeah, that was to make it slightly longer, and so you can actually hear the tune.
Yeah,
And-
that's something. Yeah, Japan actually got to hear the theme tune longer than the rest of us did for a good.
Anyway, another
Okay.
company that I remember is Idle Minds, which are now known as Deck 9. They made essentially the first of the Ratchet and Clank, the first trilogy, and then the Deadlocked HD version, or as it's called, Ratchet Gladiator in Europe. But let me say that while the original trilogy is fine HD-wise, Deadlock HD is a bit bad looking. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna say that all remasters of this day and age are perfect, but compared now to say back in 7th gen, it's like, what was up with remasters that were supposed to be better, just kind of being
Most
worse?
companies just wanted to get a quick buck, mostly, Jova.
Yeah.
And then there's
Any-
the Parappa 1 remaster, which is, I'm sorry, it's kind of garbage.
Is it
with
bad?
how much it's lag in a rhythm game. Do the math.
Huh.
Well, okay. Not so much. Well, it's not lag in the sense that they're slowed down, but the button prompts are way more delayed in the PS4 version than they were in the original PlayStation version. Forget who on here has played it. Was it you who's played it, Pedro?
I played the demo.
Yeah. What were your thoughts of the PS4 version?
From what I could tell, it looked fun enough in the tutorial part, but again, maybe it will get worse later on. I don't know.
Yeah, again,
Anyway.
from what I recall, I mean, even the completionist mentioned the issue, like, there's delay. I mean, there was
Kadiko
always a bit
mentioned
of delay.
something.
That too, yeah. I mean, there was a bit of delay in the original one, but it was done in a sense that, it was more rhythm-based.
Anyway, we're about to get actually our first boss fight of the game. Surprisingly enough, the bosses
Something
are
big's out there.
yeah, the bosses are a bit better than in the previous games, thankfully. Anyway, here we go.
I don't like the looks of this.
Hey, you come here often? Oh,
Yeah.
dear.
Hi.
Hold on, please about to tell.
This thing was once a man. He was there when Kylina died.
Yeah, apparently, essentially, the boss fight will consist of people who were around Kylina when she died, so they were invested by the sands. This guy was very called Klompa. Essentially, he's a big guy, became a giant, and without his lower part of the jaw.
Also, only his model the prince's model vanished for a second there, except
Yeah,
his face.
I actually saw it.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's interesting because this boss fight starts as a puzzle. You're not allowed to damage directly the boss for the moment.
This
Instead,
is actually a good start. A boss that
instead
requires you to...
you need to use your acrobatics to get to a higher point and then use an attack.
That actually makes sense, It's parkour in a Prince of Persia game, so it makes sense to incorporate that even into a boss fight.
Here we go. And then essentially strike it in the eye.
Oh, not the map.
No. The idea, Jova, is to get him blind enough and then start attacking him.
That's gonna make him mad, I guess.
Pretty much, but at the same time, he will not be able to target us, because if we try to attack him already, right now, he's gonna immediately counter. Here we go.
Not as dumb as he looks.
And thanks to the fact that the QTs are tied to all buttons instead of just, specific ones, it also helps with the context. You can press anyone that you want.
Nice.
It's kind of the same in Shadow games, although in that those gives you
Creed
even.
games of QTEs.
I don't remember.
I mean, I haven't played. I
There we
haven't
go.
played.
Now it's time to damage him.
I've got Origins, but I haven't played that one yet, so I wouldn't know.
I only played the one on the PSP.
All right.
Here we go.
For a second, for a second, it's here before you get slashed his ass.
It's practically standing there just waiting to get pierced.
Also, poor Prince has to stare at these guys crouched in order to attack him.
At least he covered it.
Yeah, even
Oh, God.
big
Can you
monsters like
imagine-
this have some.
Oh god, can you imagine if they were still trying to do the dark and grim stuff they probably would have had is...
Yeah, dong. Yes, we get it, Dark Prince. Don't worry. Here we go.
Oh, haha, guard, parry, dodge, thrust.
Actually, you just need to use the dodge. It's pretty much like a traditional hack and slash boss. Like, similar, for example, to a Dark Souls boss, where you just need to dodge the attacks and wait for an opening. Although in this case, it's much simpler. Okay, can you just die? And now you need to attack all the other... Yeah, you need to attack both legs. Essentially, so he loses equilibrium. Yeah, there you go. You lose it.
He loses stability.
Yeah. Come on.
He teabagged us.
And there you go. Tab.
Cut.
His legs, Prince. Cut.
We're a bit late for that, Dark Prince.
Or
And
you
there
can
you
just stab his. Or you
There
can
you go.
just.
Fine slash.
And he is down.
Yep. These in turn frees all the people who were trapped in this particular part of the city.
Wow, I'm amazed they managed to
Unfortunately, the Dark Prince starts acting up, and the Prince doesn't want to be seen in the dark state.
You can transition to. They can transition to a CG cutscene with no black bit there.
Yeah. So essentially, the Prince had to get away before turning once again to the dark side. Oh, well.
Now it got me imagining what would happen if the Dark Prince were voiced by Darth Vader or something.
Is this where I should resume?
Thankfully, the game asks you to
next
say
time?
if you want to save now, but I don't really need it at the moment. Here we go. So essentially, now you're trapped again in a section where you need to run against time, and it can be especially aggravating if you did lose a bit of health against the boss.
Is this a case like where as soon as that health hits 0, you are dead?
Yes,
or is it about
Jova.
if you get hit?
It's not as generous as say the Brave Mask from Warrior Within.
Oh,
Wow, I think even in Mighty Number 9's Ray levels, you don't die instantly when you hit 0. You just gotta be careful not to get hit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I'm imagining her doing the narration, but you die in the middle. The Dark Prince was questioning it. Oh, and then he died because he ran out of time. Never mind.
That's kind of what happened.
It
Remember,
seems to be
Joe?
counterproductive to have this during the
Hold on.
scene where there's not that many enemies.
Remember, Dweebs, blah blah blah, revenge and shit. You remember, Dweebs, much like in the first game, if you get a game over here, Kain in this case will say, no, this is not what happens, let me tell you again.
So it's like in the King's Quest reboot.
Yeah, pretty much without the puns. And that's how we know the dragon appreciated my good text.
Yeah.
By the fatigue in your voice, Pedro, I'm guessing you recorded about a King's Quest 8 earlier today?
No, actually, I've started recording
Remember,
Ireland
Joe.
too.
Remember, Jova is taking a break from it.
From what I've seen of King's Quest 8, I do like its main theme song.
The title theme.
Not saying much. Not saying much.
It's okay, but trust me, that's like the one decent track it has. Everything
So
else,
it's like
just
Zoom Academy for superheroes, where the best thing is the music.
let me put it this in a way that you immediately know what I mean, Joe. The soundtrack suffers from MAH syndrome. Yeah.
I mean, granted, the music for the remake for
Hold on, we're about to get
isn't
another
exactly
cutscene.
spectacular either, but
Hold on, Dweebs.
yeah.
And oh, look at that, more arrows. And it's Farah. Congratulations,
Look
Jova.
at that.
Oh, she's gotten some accessories.
Here's the problem, Jova. If you remember, the first game technically never happened thanks to Red
eagerly await your
Console.
response.
She doesn't know
I
the
have
prince.
heard tales, wondrous tales of a
So he's
beautiful
kind of had to
and
improvise.
brave princess of
Charisma.
India. One who
Princess.
has traveled to Babylon.
Yes, remember,
seeking
she's
to
the daughter of a
punish
Maharaja.
an evil vizier
Oh, yeah, even-
who has
that's
caused her
right.
great distress.
Yeah.
See? Now she's going to kill.
Oh wait, no, I
Oh, really?
first.
How in the world have you managed
See
to
what I mean?
survive
This game
long?
actually has some charm to
Yeah.
it.
Good luck, stranger.
Okay, I really like her.
Hey, and
I didn't
Farah
really-
seems a lot more useful here than she was in the first game.
Yeah, I mean,
Just they-
I didn't really like her in the first game,
Shall I
but
continue my
here
story
she
from
is.
here if you
I don't know if she's
Good.
voiced by the same voice actress. I'll need to check.
well, they got Yuri Lowenthal back for this one.
She's already better than she was in the first game. I mean, she wasn't terrible in the first game, but already she's done more story-wise.
Let me check.
I'm impressed.
So yeah, they pretty much had everything going wonderfully here. Why did they choose to do the reboot next?
Because they
That's because I remember, Jova. By the way, this game concludes. It pretty much concludes the trilogy.
Well, I get that, but the reboot doesn't even incorporate the gameplay style from this game. It's like you
It
finally...
tries to go a new direction. It still does the acrobatic stuff, but it just
My point
choices a
is this,
different
though.
direction.
I mean, even though this capped things off, why not have done like a far into the future sequel sort of thing to this? Or
I have no idea. Anyway, check.
oh, my
no,
GM, what are you doing after
okay.
this? The fourth.
Hold on, give
game
me a
or-
second. In Sense of Time, Farah is voiced by Joanna Wazik. In Two Thrones here by Helen King. Don't know either of these are.
she's
Anyway, to answer your
actually-
question, Joe, after this, there's the HD version of Forgotten Sands and the
You
reboot.
know, no sands of time, no
Wait.
Assad.
Oh,
you get the
that's
vizier, but you lose
right.
the girl.
Forgotten
It doesn't
Sands.
We're
Wait,
better
hold on.
off
Didn't we
without
do
her.
Forgotten Sands?
No.
Was the first game? Oh wait,
Maybe
no,
a few
that's just
arrows
Prince
in
of
the
Persia.
back.
Forgotten
Stir your
Sands
memory.
is when it comes to
We
the
must catch
canonical.
up with her.
Hold on. Yeah.
Fair
When it
enough.
comes to the
I
canonical
suspect
stuff,
you and I want
Forgotten
very
Sands
different
functions as a
things from the girl.
1.5 game. It's in between Sense of Time and Warrior Within.
Which makes me wonder.
Supposedly, it gives another reason why the prince is relatively angsty in Warrior Within.
Remind me, didn't the reboot only come out on like PS3 and Xbox 360?
I think it was also on PC. Let me check.
But it wasn't on, the PlayStation 2 or Xbox.
No. Only 7th generation console.
You know, on the
Although,
yeah.
let me get this straight. A game that they made after the reboot actually came to PS2.
Actually, no. The
Well, you said
Forgotten
that
Sa-
we're doing the
Forgot-
HD version of Forgotten
Yeah,
Sands.
that's because.
That's
Hold on, dude, Joe. Forgotten Sands, remember, came out on, respectively, PS3, the Xbox 360, and the PC. These are called the HD version. There is a Wii version, and that's technically the SD one. There is a PSP version, another SD one, and then the Nintendo DS version, this a sprite-based version.
I'm guessing the DS version is a different story altogether.
I remember, Jova, I already told you through these games, but essentially there are 4 different stories. The canonical one is the one in the HD version, which is the one that I'm gonna tackle. There is a different one for the Wii version, a different one for the PSP version, and a different one for the Nintendo DS version.
You know, on the subject of gaming
Yes,
reboots, on the subject of gaming reboots, do you guys have a particular favorite one?
You mean reboots actually do it good?
Reboot?
Well, Doom is obviously a start.
Well, yeah, that is obviously up there.
Although, was there really much to reboot for Doom plot-wise?
I don't remember Doom having that deep a plot.
Oh, he means more.
okay.
He means plot-wise
I guess
too.
it counts. I guess it counts, it's technically a reboot. I mean, I can't really think of that many gaming reboots because normally whenever a game does a big reboot, it's of an
Well,
established franchise
here's the thing,
and that
Dibs.
rarely ever goes well.
Here's the thing, Dwebs. Even though I still think the King's Quest 2, the fan remake by AGDI, is the best King's Quest game ever made, I will say that in terms of official games, when you add up all the episodes together, I think the story of the reboot of King's Quest is better than the ones from the
Also,
Sierra ones.
Dweebs, I kind of enjoyed essentially the.
reimagining and inserts.
What was that to you?
As opposed
I
to
enjoyed
Well, it's both,
essen-
Jova.
Sorry.
Go
I
ahead,
enjoyed
Brad.
all the Castlevania Lords of Shadow games, and those technically count, so since they're complete reboots of the original Castlevania, so...
You're like the first person I've ever heard to speak positively about those games from
I
outside
don't
game
know.
reviews.
That's the thing, Dweebs. They, at their core, they are rip-offs of other franchises like God of War, and in some occasions Shadow of the Colossus. That's pretty much clear. But for what they're going for, they're still nice.
Yeah,
and
the big
fun to
problem.
The
the big-
issue with the Castlevania reboots is one of the gameplay issues with the original version of the DMC reboot, aside from the story I'm talking gameplay-wise. The gameplay, while fun, is not, the gameplay we're looking for in that particular series.
Yeah.
Well,
like-
but that's the thing. It's because ever since Lament of Innocence, when it came to the 3D Castlevania games, Konami always wanted to do hack and slash instead of platformers or
Why not just make an
Metroidvania.
IP for hack and slash? Heck, you even gave Metal Gear
Here's the
a
fun
spin-off
thing.
for that.
Here's the fun thing, Jova. They made two of them, Never Dead and Blades of Time. Either of them failed spectacularly.
Huh. And yet they thought that attaching that gameplay... Okay, look. Even if you want to attach that gameplay to Castlevania, at least leave in the classical stuff or work that in. That's part of the appeal of doing stuff in 3D.
You know, I've,
Technically, there is Jova. It's just done in a different way.
I just thought of now,
Hold on. Yeah, Dweebs.
and now I'm just thinking of when I eventually get to the DMC reboots,
That
and
was fun.
how many times can I just do stuff just to fuck with Joe?
What do you mean?
You don't need to, Dweebs. The plot already does it for you.
No. I meant some stuff I can do.
Honestly,
Well,
dude, there's not really much
nothing
you
really,
can-
Dweebs, especially considering the
Like
gameplay.
that cutscene with the wig.
Well, Dweebs, again, that's the
story. You're
game
not really
doing for
doing
you.
that.
Yeah. I don't
mean,
see
look,
what that
look,
means.
look. You're trying to find ways that you yourself can tip me off with that game. I'm sorry, that game's already done all it can for you.
Which version? You on about the
Well, the
PS3?
original. Honestly, dudes, the version you're playing is the better version, in my opinion, because that version actually incorporates the gameplay that we expect of DMC.
And which is funny because it was done by the same people who did the initial version of the reboot.
Ninja Theory, yeah.
Dude, question: have you played the original version?
Hold on, cut.
Yes, I have.
How did you come to possess that?
Here we go again.
I took it. From the Vizier.
That traitor.
That
He
lip
murdered
syncing.
my father,
Yeah,
enslaved
that's
my
another problem
people,
I'll tell at the end of his
imprisoned
cutscene.
me, and all in the name of becoming some kind of god.
I know too well what he is capable of. But I intend to find him and punish him for what he has done to my kingdom.
Okay.
You are the son of Shahraman?
Yep.
The Prince of Persia?
Roll
Credits.
credits.
And you are the daughter of the Maharaja. We
We
both
never
seek
did get
the
a game
same
called
thing.
Daughter of the Maharaja.
Perhaps we should journey together.
But Jova,
Perhaps.
Zelda is totally the
Provided you can
protagonist.
keep up.
I grow tired of her little tests.
It is simply her way. I assure you, she will prove a valuable ally.
It took her long enough, but she did eventually the first venture. Wow, they're even poking fun at the first game. That's
Here's the
pretty
thing,
good.
Dweebs, this is also another problem of reboots. It's I've seen in some reboots, like for example, even the Devil May Cry HD collection for PS3 had similar problem. Essentially, if you used the SD cables instead of the HD cable, cutscenes in Devil May Cry 1 and 3 would be displayed in 60 frames, but with the audio completely out of sync, similar to this particular
Yeah.
cutscene. It's
So
a
you need
problem with
HDMI
everything.
cables for them to sync properly.
Yeah, and this is only applied to the European PS3 version. I have no idea. My
Because
guess is that
50
because the 50 frames, right? I forgot. But
No. Hold on. By the time the PS3 came about,
But that's
game,
Yeah, but
game
it's
developers abandoned the 50 hertz refresh rate. Even
He's
Valve.
referring to the HDMI cable problem, though.
Not
with-
just
Oh,
that,
okay.
Not just that, Pedro. The PS3 version, the HDMI the HD collection of Devil May Cry was based on the PS2 versions. So any problem, I guess, is
okay.
stated to that. But anyway, the problem is, surprisingly, oddly enough, the PS2, the collection version of Devil May Cry 2 runs just fine in any kind of version. Right? The game is
And
blended
that
enough
is
that it
a-
just works.
Well, I've got the
Of course,
I've got,
Devil May
I've got
Cry
the
2.
I've got the PS2 versions of the original, well, of 1, 2, and 3. I've got the PS4 version of 4. I haven't really played that one yet.
Anyway, Dibs. Anyway,
I'm gonna go in order for.
Oh shit.
Anyway, Dibs, regarding the reboot, the only way you could bug me even more is by playing the original version. And let's just look, trust me, Dibs, you'll only be doing yourself a disservice. The
Well,
original version-
Jova, actually, I have played the original version.
I'm impressed.
Anyway, from
Yeah,
now
but
on,
you haven't played it all the
Hold on.
way through.
from now on, Fair
Well, now
will assist.
I've got a PS4.
Guys,
There's no point.
Guys,
Just don't
cutscene.
make me regret it.
Not just that. Let me
Now,
explain.
let's find the Vizier.
Farah is now, for a while being, instead of just being a complete escort mission, like in the first game, Farah now is gonna assist us from above by helping us solving puzzles and making us progress through the game. So he's gonna be integrated more and not a pain in the ass to, sustain through the entire of the game like in the first one.
So not only are they addressing the problems of Prince of Persia 2 head on, they're even addressing complaints from the more favored Prince of Persia
Again,
1.
they wanted
Good.
to win the crowd back with that one.
So what did they do for the next game? Completely change things up with a reboot. I mean, look, I get that they may have kept the story off, but
Again, Jova, Ubisoft jumping on the 7th generation console was pretty much the kind of mark of their starting of their weird decisions.
the only thing that really came good out of it was Assassin's Creed, and even that's becoming a mixed blessing nowadays.
Hmm.
Which is a shame, too,
But
because...
Jova, the first Watch Dogs was totally going to bank the water out. Like,
No. That would be the second one. But,
yeah, but the problem is, Dweebs, no one apparently cared about that.
which is a shame.
Changing up the formula... Well, here's the problem. dude.
Well,
A
there's
very bad-
maybe if the first
a
one
bad
was as
first-
good as the second one, then this wouldn't happen.
Like,
Oh, by the way,
I feel more sorry for the people who actually developed the second Watch Dogs game. They really wanted to improve what was wrong with the first, but because of how
well,
disappointing the first one was.
here's a problem, honestly, though. Despite how good the second Watch Dogs game is, and I mean no disrespect to it, when you look at Watch Dogs as a whole, it's essentially GTA but with a hacking ability. Okay, I'm not saying that that's a premise that doesn't work, but that wasn't doing it any favors. And since the first game was, as dull as it was with it, again, there are a lot of cases where second installments are screwed over by bad first installments.
Also, Dweebs, the developers of Watch Dogs 2 were the same as the first one.
So, good job, guys. You made the game you should have made in the first place. Pat on the
Just
back.
like-
Why at
In
least
true
they improved?
Ubisoft fashion.
Why
Just
at
like
least,
Knack.
why at least they improved? That's one thing I'll give them
Well,
credit for.
Well, the sad
Well,
part,
if
Joe,
Ubisoft
Teo, is
doesn't
that
give them the credit, they're going to end it.
no,
They
Teo,
got
that's the
that.
thing. Again, like we just established, Assassin's Creed 2 was good, and Watch Dogs 2 was good. Knack 2 is not good by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll continue exploring this time with the help of Farah, obviously, in the next part. See ya.
See you
Alright,
next
see ya.
time.
See ya.